What's going on, y'all? My name is Christopher Life Willers, and this is the Stay Free Show live stream podcast. All of that. We don't do no edits, no scripts, no rehearsals, real dialogue, real conversation. And today, I'm back up here because she's actually been on my platform before. I've got a friend, an advocate, a colleague. She's fired up. We almost missed half the actual interview doing a pre-interview just now, getting ready to discuss some things that we hope that y'all really ready to listen to and get into, man. We're in a state right now, 2025. There's a lot of things shifting. And I want to take the time out to acknowledge that we just got out of second chance month. We need more than a month. It shouldn't just be April. But we're still fighting for those that are behind the walls. We're still fighting for everybody that deserves a second chance. And we're still going to amplify and be a voice for those that are incarcerated. And that's why I'm happy to bring up my fellow advocate, organizer, activist, all that good stuff, man, Miss Colitha Bush. How you doing, sis? You fired up. Hey. You fired up. Please reintroduce yourself, man. You've been up here. I think you feel like you've been up here twice, but maybe at least once. But please.
Yeah, we did some stuff together on a couple of platforms.
Yeah, we done been up here a few other junk. Yeah. So can you please just reintroduce yourself in case don't nobody know who he is? Please meet Miss Colitha.
Well, I'm Colitha. I'm from Texas. I'm an advocate for criminal justice reform. You can check my story out of how I started my platform. Thanks to Christopher Willers. He's actually the person behind pushing me out there to tell my story. I'm on all social media platforms. I have I've told my story on TikTok, mainly married to an FBI informant. So if you haven't already, please check it out. Also on YouTube, Colitha Bush 1980 here on YouTube.
For sure, man. We're not gonna dig too deep into that, but just like her story is crazy. Just the snapshot, like she said, man, she was married to somebody that was an informant for the FBI. It's really deep. You definitely want to check out her story, man. I'm glad you started telling your story. One, because I feel like the internet is a great space, not just to be heard, but to advocate, to let people know they have gone through similar things. But I'm also glad that you started telling your story because everybody's not been transparent with all of their story. And I was watching you tell your story and I was like, yo, she's telling every bit of that right there. Like she gets in right there. What gives you the courage to tell your story? And I want you to, when you're answering this, speak directly to the people that are coming home from incarceration, that are impacted by something, that feel like maybe their voice isn't to be heard or can't be heard or won't be impactful. Like, what do you got to say to that?
I just basically would tell you that, we all have a story. We all have a past. That is a test, being incarcerated and stuff. But when we come home, we can take that test and turn it into a testimony for others. It's a lot of people out here who need to hear our stories because I'm on social media a lot. I see a lot of people going through what I have been through already. And the stories that I've told and I've seen other people tell have impacted other people who haven't been there yet. I've had people come and tell me, thank you for telling that story. This story just changed my life. I've had females come to me and tell me that I was in a really bad relationship. And if it wasn't for you telling this story, I would not have left that relationship. I just really left that relationship because I realized that I was putting myself and my children in a position to where I could have been looking at prison time. So I'm a real person like everybody else. I mean, I've overcome so many different obstacles. I mean, even coming home from prison is not so easy, but I mean, if you had a support system, and even if you don't, I always tell people, find you a good church members, connect with them. It's different resources. You may not always get everything that you need, but it's people out there who will help you. So basically, I think that we should be like a community to each other where we're able to help one another when we come home. And telling the story is part of helping other people who may have went through or could be dealing with what you've already dealt with before.
Thank you, man. Everybody needs, your voice is needed. It's powerful. Somebody can relate to it. I'm sure as you told your story, because I watched your followers go up from here to over 10,000 over, certain platforms. Yeah, you're going crazy. So I'm only assuming, because I don't know, there was plenty of people reaching out. Were there people that could relate to your story directly?
Yes, so many females, mostly younger females. That's why I feel like, I've always felt like the youth is so very important to us because they are the people that we need to be reaching down to and telling our stories to them so that they know when they do make a mistake what that possibility could be. And also, us telling a story to some people sometimes could change them from having a criminal future. So I think that it's very important that we, just share our stories with other people. I thought that my story was so bad that I didn't want anybody to hear that story. But then I
Right.
felt like, okay, if I'm gonna tell this story, I might as well tell this whole story, and I told it. And once I started telling the story and getting comfortable with telling it, more and more people, like even opportunities came where social workers, psychologists, everybody asking me to be on panels, women's panels in different states, so they listened to my story and they felt like my story was good enough to help somebody else.
Hey, y'all heard it. You want Miss Colitha Bush to pull up on y'all panels, man. Get the flights right. You know what I'm talking about? Get the funding out there. She gonna pull up. You know what I'm saying? She got a platform and a following. But I want to pivot into this. I need you to give a message to not necessarily young ladies, but ladies that are messing with that guy in the streets. I want to take the stop off. The eyes went all the way. Eyes went all the way. The head went back. Hey, what? Look, she done readjusted. Hold on, I got the.
It's
Hold on.
hard to get those messages, but at the end of the day, you never know if it's just one person that you reach.
Right.
That's all can
What do
impact
you
one person.
what do you say to the young lady that's in love with the guy that's in the streets right now? Just a real conversation, sister to sister, whatever it is. Like, if anybody needs to hear something right now because they may be headed down a situation they can't get out of, but they love that person. They got
I mean,
history.
it's always easier said than done, but at the end of the day, it's your self worth. It's how you see yourself and feel about yourself for the most part will make you think that you're in love or that somebody loves you, and it's not true. Somebody that loves you will not put you in predicaments or situations whereas you could lose your freedom or even your life. So if you are one of those young ladies out there that have been faced with that situation, you need to start looking within yourself and also to other people who probably have been telling you that this is the wrong path to take, and listening to those people. It's hard to walk away from situations. So I always tell people, hey, I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to tell you my story. And hopefully when you listen to my story, because if you listen to my story, it will give you every reason to sit back and think about some of your choices that you may be making. I've never been on drugs in my life, but I messed with somebody who sold them. You know, I just came into contact with things that was not a part of who I was because I got enthralled into this lifestyle with somebody that I truly love. But in the end, I realized that person did not love me. And I almost lost everything because of it's not worth it. That's what I would tell you. It's never worth it.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a message. There's so many times like we speak to the young men. You know, a lot. I got a lot of men on my platform. My message is so heavy to the young men. They out there, they in the streets. I'm trying, but I just wanted to take the opportunity where I got a strong leader up here, from ladies to just speak directly to them. So thank you. But at the same time, I want to pivot because I know right now I'm looking around and I'm thinking about a couple of stories outside, not similar to yours actually, but I'm thinking about other things in the news. And before we hopped on here, I was talking about how one of the things that's impacting me, I live in Georgia, is there was two young men, 19 years old, from Lawrenceville, Georgia, excuse me, and they were found 90 minutes away when they were supposed to be at the airport on top of a mountain with a gate locked. They got a video of them at the gas station. What are your thoughts on society? And I gotta ask this. I'm asking anybody that's been incarcerated because we was in the insane asylum, but now 2025 is starting to feel really it's everything's out of sync. We're seeing things that what are your overall thoughts on 2025, whether it's with the media, you're an advocate, whether it's what we're seeing with some of these cases, our young people, just anything that's on your mind right now?
I feel like, right here in 2025, it is a big shift in the way of the world, in a way of just people all together, not wanting to come together. A lot of divide. I think a lot of it does have to do with the new commander in chief. Like just this year alone, we have seen like so many different things change and shift. And to tell you the truth, we don't know what's coming tomorrow. But altogether, since I've come home to now, I think that a lot has changed. Not, I won't say that I have been directly impacted right now because of all those changes, but I'm not going to say that it won't eventually happen. It's just a lot of crazy stuff going on right now in the world altogether that I think that we, if you're a praying person and a believing person, you need to stay prayed up all the time.
Yeah. I'm big on not getting involved with the politics of things. We had a conversation before we hopped up here, and I was like, man, I try to stay out because I get whatever side you stand on in that, somebody's gonna be at you. But I'm thinking about things because you're like, I haven't been directly impacted. My family lives in Eagle Pass, Texas, on the border where it's going down at. Somebody messaged me and said, why are you posting about what's going on with the ICE situation? I'm Mexican and black, and half my family is getting. People don't understand, right? Until it's on their front door.
Yes.
So, like, do you have more anxiety now in 2025, or did you have more anxiety the year you came home? That's a question I wanted to ask somebody.
It's a simple answer to that. Like, it's now, it's here, it's right now. When we hear about immigrations and customs and stuff, and we hear about our president having meetings and voting to send United States citizens out of this country, it's a time for us to be alarmed now.
I just say to anybody again, man, this is not the time to be doom scrolling 24/7 and not paying attention to what's going on in society. There are United States citizens getting pulled from their houses, like literally, legit, and then can't get back. So, not to go off in a tangent, but stay free. I used to say stay woke. Somebody said woke ain't it. I just say stay free, man. Stay free.
Stay free. That's correct, because you don't want to end up in El Salvador. I mean, come on now. We know that it's hard. It's a hard life being incarcerated away from your family and your friends and the people that you love. But imagine me being taken from those people and brought far, far away with barely any communication with them, living really like an animal now. I mean, so it doesn't look like the incarceration section is looking anything better than what it was looking last year. It's starting to look a whole lot worse. So people just have to be careful. And like you said, pay attention to the news and stay up to date on what's going on, because every day it's a new ship and it's a new change.
CCOT, that's the name of the prison out there. If anybody's seen the video, that looks insane. And here's what you got to know, right? In Georgia, they passed the budget for a $436 million prison. In my mind, if I had to envision what a $436 million prison looked like, and I'm looking at the videos of CCOT, and I understand how the justice system is and how it's so evil and it wants to repeat the evil, I would be concerned. Yeah, I would be concerned. I would be concerned with, right, there's laws, there's discussion where I'm not saying, but Trump's saying he wants to unalive people. And here's, I'm saying this from a neutral standpoint before y'all blow me up, because trust me, I understand overdoses. I work in recovery, all that. But he talking about unaliving anybody that's out there, selling stuff they shouldn't. Hey, man.
And that's sad. We talk about, me, I'm not for the DP at all. I'm completely against the DP. I even had a family member that was executed some time ago for a crime that he committed. I'm just completely against it. Me personally, I don't feel like man has the right to decide who lives or dies. Not that way. I feel like life imprisonment, if you feel is, the crime is repeated or repeat offender or so heinous that, that's better than, just saying, hey, we're going to do something vengeful and just take them out.
Monsters do exist. Like, I tell people all the time, like I have friends that, like, I guess they're like abolitionists. I guess that's the correct term. They're like, they don't want any prisons. I don't necessarily prescribe that because I know monsters exist. But I can tell you that a lot of people are not monsters. A lot of people don't deserve certain
make mistakes. And I mean, people grow out of those mistakes. That's why I'm so for Like every time I watch something on TV, I was watching something about Louisiana Angola prison. And I'm looking at all these men who have been incarcerated for 20, 30, and 40 years that have no chance of parole. And then they're telling you this story of how they have changed, and like the person they were when they were 17, 18, 25 when they committed these crimes, they're 50, 60, 70 some years old now, and they will never have a chance to see freedom again. I don't believe that that's right. I believe that if you are in the inside and you are incarcerated and you are showing that you have overcome that criminal past by being a model inmate, that you do deserve a second chance. I don't care if you were sentenced to life. I believe they should do second look at.
You have it. I've been on Greensville Correctional Center where they executed people. I've been on Sussex too, where they had the row at. And I can tell you from having conversations with people that knew their date was coming, I believe that not everyone I spoke to while working on the row, cleaning, serving trays, I don't believe for 1 second every one of those men on that row was guilty. I do not believe that.
No,
So
absolutely.
yeah, the second look, and then when you get into DNA, a lot of these cases,
Don't
DNA.
you
Yeah,
have people sitting on and that actually happened in my cousin case. They had another DNA and refused to ever just pay for the test, and they wouldn't allow the testing to be done um in his situation. And I'm not gonna say that I believe that he was 100% innocent or 100% guilty, but I believe like if there is something that could possibly exonerate you or something that could prove that you were innocent, that needs to be looked at too. That everything needs to be looked at. The government should not be allowed to say that we have it here and we're not going to waste our time on it because we have eyewitness testimony. Eyewitness testimony has put so many people away, and later they've been exonerated because the witness gave false testimony, perjured themselves, or just straight up just lied. I mean, so we know we can't trust that if that's the only thing that we're going off of. And I believe there's a lot of people, maybe tens of thousands of men sitting in prison and women who actually did not commit those crimes that they are saying that they committed.
easy, easily, man. When we look back all the way at Emmett Till, man, and that's like the first really big documented case of somebody being lied on that lost their life, and this was a juvenile at that, a young man. We have to know, right? Like we have to know as we're watching the news and we start to see detectives get arrested of perjury and planting evidence, and it's that one time they got caught. We have to know that there was
That is,
probably, you understand? I remember growing up in Chicago, Illinois, the police officer running past my 3 Caucasian friends. It is what it is. This is the true story. Because I grew up in a mixed neighborhood. They ran past all 3 of them, and I'm on the ground. They got me with the flashlight and on me, and ain't none. That's because of some fireworks blowing off. And I got to arguing with him, and he dropped something out his pocket, and he said to me, "Hello, watch this." And he said to me, and guess how old I was at the time? I'm 15. This is when I first learned about every police officer is not not just. Because in my mind,
not
before that,
there.
I was green though. Before that, before I had my first, I thought all police good police. And I got law enforcement friends. James the Change, he's a prosecutor. You're gonna see some officers up here, some COs, all that. So anybody's watching this, yeah, we getting ready to get busy. We're gonna give them opportunity to speak. And it's gonna be great. But he dropped that thing on the ground. He said, I can leave it here and you go with it, get tagged with you as evidence, or you can stop yelling and fussing and we can do what we got to do and then y'all could go. And that was my first experience. I also had another encounter with that. I was supposed to be a police. Did I tell you that?
No.
You can't picture me as a detective. Oh Lord, I would have been like that.
I can picture you as anything in this world. I mean, you absolutely are amazing. Anything that you do or go out there, you're absolutely gonna achieve it. So I could definitely see you as a detective solving some of these crimes.
I appreciate it. I was on my way, but it was because an officer that gave me a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt, and I was wearing a seatbelt, that I didn't get to go down that path. I promise you, I'll tell that story another time. Anyway, what are some just things that people need? Because here's the thing, I get asked all the time, why did you come home from prison to get into the fight? Like, why do you talk about prison? You talk about the justice system every day. We left the trauma, and then us as advocates, we kind of keep dealing with the trauma of what prison is. Why did you decide to get into advocacy, Miss Colitha Bush, and join the insanity and fun that it is? Especially now with DEI in 2025 and lack of funding. Never mind, I ain't gonna get started. Let's go.
Because being incarcerated was like a devastating moment in time for me. And then I wasn't just the only person that was devastated. I remember looking around a room full of so many people who had so much trauma connected to them. And I felt like, hey, if I'm here for a reason. I have to learn something from this. And right before it was time for me to go, I hadn't seen so many injustices just inside of being incarcerated that I started writing so many letters to congressmen, to, my congressman, Al Green in Houston at that time, Sheila Jackson. Like, it wasn't nobody that I did not write. And I felt like when I came home that people were hoping that when I come home that, hey, something happened with this. We're going to be here for a long time. And so I said, why not fight for the people who are still left behind? Because we've done our time. I mean, it's going to be other people that's going to come after us. We want to make that system more just for them. Because even though we've went through this, it's still other people who will come from behind us. And that's what's more important at, the people who will come from behind us. And so we want to impact as many people as possible, of course, while we're out here, to deter them from having to go the way that we've come. But just because we're out here, there's still going to be people in there. And they're going to need people on the ground, like boots on the ground, fighting for them. So why not fight for the people who can't fight for themselves? Why not be a voice for the people who are voiceless? That's just the way I feel about it.
If everybody that was impacted by prison advocated, we could change the whole landscape of the country. 1 out of every 2 people in this country is directly or indirectly impacted by incarceration. That's a whole voters base that can get laws changed. Do you think we'll ever see a mass unification of system impacted people? Do you think we'll ever get it? Like, some people feel like it's just going to keep. I keep talking about Georgia. We got the worst Department of Corrections out to 50 states. Any video you see out there and it's violent and they got the white on, that's Georgia. Right. It's they talking about Cali and Texas. Respectfully, it goes down in the South now. But do you think the system is going to keep getting worse? Do you think we're going to unify? Do you think we're figuring things out as there seems to be more turmoil in the landscape? Like, what do you think the next couple of years looks like? Because it's scary to me. It could go either way.
Sadly, honestly speaking, I really believe that we're going to see things get worse before they get better. I think that we're going to fall so far into that rabbit hole, it's going to be kind of hard for us to dig our ways out eventually. I mean, I'm not saying that we won't get there, but I'm saying because of who we have in charge right now, that it's just not looking good for the United States, for what justice is, what we call justice, what we say is liberty. I mean, as Trump is in office, that it just looks like the criminal justice system will continue to decline. There's people every day that's asking, hey, you heard anything about First Step Act? We're not getting our time credits. We're not being able to come home. They're taking away our halfway house time now. Like, these people are now having to sit in prison and suffer and not getting their time where they can come home. Like, I came home on First Step Act, which is, the bill that Donald Trump signed and that became law. But it's people right now that's not benefiting from that. And I don't think that that's fair that we do have laws that say if you do this, and that while you're incarcerated, you're going to get this time, or you're going to be able to come home, for them to turn around and say, we don't have the funds to be able to manage you people. Like, I feel like the government needs to stand on what they say. At the end of the day, we have people incarcerated. They've done their time. They need to come home. They shouldn't be sitting there till the last minute. They need to come home now. It's important.
Yeah. I voted, but I did not vote for Trump, and I did not vote for Kamala Harris. I voted for independent. And that was me. I was always going to be a part of the process. And anybody that's watching this, if you have the ability to vote, vote, right? But it was very scary, this election. But this is my plea and my urge to any young people, anybody with aspirations of leadership. We need y'all. we we
It's
need
so important. It's so very important.
yeah, we need a shift, and we need new vision, and just a new mentality. You know what I'm saying? The people of this country really are great, but when you have certain people pushing the negativity and the hatred, it fuels fires. And these fires, believe it or not, if you was pushing love out there and peace, some of these fires wouldn't even exist. I'm telling
Yeah,
y'all. You know what
yes.
I'm saying? I want to ask you this, because I don't know if I got to ask you this. You did your time, or where did you do your time geographically? I don't want to assume. Like,
Oh, did my time in Fort Worth, Texas,
it was
at
all right.
a federal Navy base, military base.
Oh wow! See, I didn't even know that part. That I just knew. Okay, I
I
missed that.
told you I worked on a military base when I was there.
No,
I was
but I got
community.
ADHD.
So I got to leave every day and go out into the community from 7:30 to 3:30.
I thought it was
Like I
just
was a normal citizen, you know. I was afforded that right and that privilege because I was a model inmate. You know, I went into prison, I did what I was supposed to do. It wasn't the easiest times, but when I went out into the community, I didn't feel like I was incarcerated. The people in that community didn't treat you like you were incarcerated. A lot of times they didn't even know that you were incarcerated. They knew that there was a federal prison on the base, but they didn't know that because we were all uniformed up that hey, that was prison uniform attire. So, you know, I'm happy that I got that advantage to be able to do that while I was incarcerated. And you know what, it gave me a couple of little skills, some things to think about on the outsides, but not nothing that I would do for a living.
what I wanted to ask, and thank you for because I you did tell me that, but I thought it was just work releasing. Anyways, I always talk about what us I say incarcerated people, but really, if I'm speaking like all the way transparent, I can't speak for the women. I can't. I can't represent them. I don't know what you guys are thinking. I'm assuming. I know what we battle as fellas when we come home from incarceration. You may have not battled anything at all because you were able to leave and come back. So that's a different experience. But as an advocate, as somebody that's helping people come home from incarceration, having conversations, what are some specific battles that the ladies are facing that society, community needs to be more mindful of so we can get some more support or attention in those areas?
Well, the number one thing that I often hear about is the job market for felons. You know, people often say it's not much out there, that most jobs are fast food, or if you do get a job, they overwork you. And housing. Housing is a big thing. That was the only thing that I struggled with when I came home was the housing sector of being able to get into my own place immediately. You know, of course, we want to come home and you know, I had kids and I wanted to get my family back together again and try to try to just have a normal life. And, you know, I kind of ran into some bumps in the road, but eventually I got there. But a lot of people have the number one thing, females, is that employment and getting a roof over their heads. And I think that we need more community services, whereas they allow incarcerated people who you know, have jobs and can afford these places to be able to get in these places without saying, oh, your felony is not this amount of years old, or it needs to be this amount of years old, or telling you have to get an expungement to be able to get a place. I feel like in a community, they need to form some type of alliance somewhere where they say, hey, when you come home from incarceration, we have this amount of apartments, or you know, something somewhere where we're gonna let incarcerated people based on the background stay. And even if it is something that is like really bad, I'm sure you know there's something where we can put those people more than none. I felt like when I came home, the places that would be easy for me to go to was places that I would never live in. And so I wasn't willing to accept that. I remember my probation officer telling me, well, there's like group homes that you can go and stay in. And I was like, what, like group homes? Like, no, I'm talking about getting my own place. And she was like, well, I don't really know. You're going to have to call here and call there. And I spent the whole day off of work one day calling and calling and calling and getting told, no, 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 no. your felony is not 10 years. And I was like, 10 years, some people go to prison for 90 days. And you mean to tell me if you lose everything and you come back home and you try to get your life back on track, you won't be able to get your own place to live? We need a place to live. But eventually I found somebody that it wasn't where I wanted to be at. I ended up having to come back home, but I ended up being able to secure my own place in my own name.
And I know you're gonna keep securing in your own name, and
yeah, because I feel it's important for us. Like, we want our own when we come home. We don't want to have to be saying, well, mama, can you do this? Or daddy, can you do this? We want to be able to come home and be productive citizens again. Like, we've done our time. Why is our past still being held against us? And I think that's a lot of what's wrong with the system too.
Yeah. Colitha, you had a question that came in on I'm on 17 different platforms, devices, cameras, microphone. We got a whole lot going on. And I got a few more. I loved it. This is a great question. I definitely want to ask this. What happens to the women that have children while incarcerated? Because this person asked the question. She said she recently seen a snippet or a post about a young lady that was getting ready to give birth. She was already in prison or on her way to prison. So she had like 7 years, and she wants to know like what happens to that child. And I don't know if people think about that.
So, being incarcerated, I was incarcerated with multiple women that came in at 7, 8 months or 1 or 2 months pregnant at the time. If you're at a camp or FCI, they normally allow you to be there until you're like 7 months. And after 7 months, there's a program in Texas that's called the MINT program. It's basically like a program where you get a chance to go in for the better prenatal care and also the bonding. So I think it's maybe like 12 or 13 weeks after you deliver that baby, the father is able to come in and bond with the baby with you. But if nobody ever shows up and you're not in that program, the baby does go into foster care. And I was incarcerated with multiple women who lost their kids. And when I went into the system, I had 7 minor children. Thank God for family. They took on that responsibility for me. I was in prison with women who lost all their kids. All their kids ended up in foster care and or adopted. I was in prison with women who left their kids with responsible, reliable family members, and things happened where they couldn't take care of those kids anymore because this person had a lengthy prison sentence and their kids ended up in foster care. And most of those cases, they ended up being adopted out. And if you watch my series, you'll see me talk about COVID in my Marital FBI series. And in there, I also talk about a young lady by the name of Andrea Circlebear, who was incarcerated on a minor drug offense, and she barely made it into FMC Carswell, where I did my time at, before she caught COVID, and she died on a ventilator, and ended up delivering her baby while she was on a ventilator. So it's some horrific stories that come out of prison. That's just something else that people do need to take heed to, and women need to know that if you put yourself in that situation, you just don't know what's going to happen.
Thank you for speaking to that. I'm very aware. I live in Atlanta, and me and my street team, we on Candler Road, we on Gresham Road, we on Boulder Crest, we in the trenches. And one of the most like haunting images that it never fails. When I pull up in certain neighborhoods, there's a young lady that's in the mix and she's carrying a child. She's pregnant, and I'm sitting there and I'm praying she gets out the mix. So that was a great question, and Colitha, thank you for responding to that, because I hope if anybody is again in the mix and they're in a situation, you really understand the totality of it all. And she's gonna shout out her stuff, but man, y'all really gotta check out her pages, man. Her story is great. It's legit. It's documented, and it tells you a story. You can look at the obvious thing about, oh, she was married to an informant, but talk about the survival piece, the mentality, the rebuild, all of that. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to say thank you for being, a storyteller, but representing strength. Every woman, every man isn't strong enough to rebuild. Losing a relationship cripples some people, and this is somebody you were with for years. So one thing,
they check out my story, they're gonna see that I talk about that happening where women come to prison incarcerated for, it could be 3-4 years, and their husband is on the outside. And then you go to that phone one day and your husband is telling you that they moved on, or they send you divorce papers in the mail, and you see somebody just deteriorate. In 3 years, you can see somebody look like they aged 50 years, they whole head turned gray. And I thank God that is not my story, that I was able to have a sound mind, stay in prayer, and be positive the whole time that I was there, because that's not everybody's story. You see people break down and fall apart. They can't deal with it.
Not at all, man. Listen, you already know if you'd like to come back up here again, you got specific topics. We can run around 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You probably already been up here 4 times, but let's do 9 more. But I'm always glad to have you up here, sis. I really do appreciate your voice, the work that you do. I'm gonna say this to anybody watching. If you're looking for an advocate to get connected to represent the ladies and be a powerful voice and give you perspective from the inside out, you need to contact Miss Colitha Bush. You can't get a hold of her, you contact me. We'll get it connected. You know what I'm saying? Please shout out, let people know how to connect with you, let them know your pages again, all that good stuff, anything else, and also a message to the world, man. Definitely got to leave a message for the people.
Yeah. So you can reach me on all social media platforms, Colitha Bush. That's on TikTok, Colitha Bush 1, Instagram, Colitha Bush, Facebook, Colitha Bush, YouTube, right here, Colitha Bush 1980. And the thing that I would leave you with is compassion. We all need more of it in this world. I think that because we are starting to lack it because of the turn of events that are taking place, that a lot of people are forgetting what the main focus should be. It should be people, it should be each other, it should be love, it should be unity. And because nobody has that compassion element to care enough for the next person, we're starting to look like we're drowning. So just always listen to somebody. If somebody is talking to you and they have something they want to say, they might want to share a story, and sometimes you just need to listen. Compassion is everything.
I appreciate you. I usually have a nice piece to say at the end, but I just want to leave it there, man. Compassion. The world would be better if there was more of it. Thank you again. Please, anybody that's watching this, if you'd like to tell your story, if you represent an organization, if you'd like to tell your loved one's story, anything, man, please contact the Life Unit Inc. at Gmail. We'd love to just have you up here, have a conversation. I'm finally getting back into the swing of things. My house is still burnt down. I'm living in an RV for the next 3 months, but we having a ball. We getting it done, man. That's it, man. Be blessed. Make sure you check out Miss Colitha Bush everywhere at Colitha Bush. Her story's crazy. It's inspiring. It's motivating. It's real. It needs to be seen and heard. It needs to be turned into a movie from A21 or 50 Cent. Go ahead and make the call, man. We
Still waiting
appreciate
for 50.
it, man. But that's it, man. Appreciate y'all. Until next time. Peace.
Bye bye.